it's ironic in some ways that we have court cases around divorce because it's really a situation where you're doing battle against somebody that knows you better than anyone.
Yeah. Knows where all the buttons are.
And knows where all the buttons are and knows where all the bodies are buried. And that's part of why it makes it so difficult. And I remember sitting in Dina Stacer's high conflict class, and I remember her saying, answer me this. When you walked down the aisle with that person, what were you thinking? Were you thinking about divorce and child custody?
Right.
Or were you dreaming about your future with this person?
Right.
And all these wonderful things that you dreamed you would do. Well, we're going to, have 3.5 children. How do you have 0.5 children?
I don't know.
And we're going to, get a house in Solana Beach, and I'm going to get to coach basketball, and I'm going to raise my kids, and we're going to go surf, and whatever it is, whatever your thing. Those are my things.
We're gonna have a little Jack Russell dog.
A little Jack Russell, that's right. And 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so hard, right?
Yeah.
Right, but that's what that's about.
Right.
There's a certain connection, and it's a beautiful connection, and it's the stuff of love songs.
Right.
And then every time you make love, are we allowed to say that? We're allowed to say that people make love on the Divorce University Online podcast? Okay.
Every time you have intimate relations.
Anytime you have intimate relations. Anytime you do the wild thing.
Yeah, it is clean. It's not explicit, so you can't go any further than that.
The horizontal mambo.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
We're going to learn all your acronyms today.
No, but you cement that together. It creates an emotional bond. I know not everybody reads the Bible, but the Bible is full of wisdom, and especially on this topic.
Right.
And the Bible says that the two shall become one flesh. In fact, that was always in the traditional wedding vows. So what God has joined together, let no man separate.
Right.
So what tends to happen over the course of a marriage is that you become melded, you become united, you become one flesh. Or, I don't think Dino is a believer. The way she used to put it, she used to talk about cell memory.
Right. And
she would say, all those hopes and dreams that you had for that marriage are encoded in your cell memory. And things may have broken down. You may have decided that this marriage is completely intolerable and you have to get out.
Right.
Your husband's a narcissist, whatever.
Right.
But that doesn't take away the imprint and the impression that person has been in your life by virtue that they were your wife or they were your husband.
It's visceral. And that's one of the reasons that I talk to people in the very beginning stages about really shutting down the communication, because I always tell them, like, the sound of the voice, the smell of the other person, all those kinds of like things that we don't really think about on a day-to-day basis. You have an emotional cell memory, if you will, of that. And so any of that can be a trigger for the emotions and for the pain of it to be brought back for you. And I see this with clients. A lot of times they're going through divorce. The attorneys are having a hard time negotiating, and it's costing a ton of money. And they're like, can't I just negotiate with them directly? And it's like, you can, but you've got to know where that line is for you. And as soon as you negotiate and get that settled, you got to cut it and pull back, because for you emotionally, you need to draw that line.
True.
And it's different in every relationship, because I think you have the ability to have more interaction with your ex-wife, partly because she's more respectful of boundaries.
Yeah.
And you guys don't really get into deep conversations about what triggered the divorce or any of the,
we don't go there anymore.
Right.
Right.
I mean, we all have some issue. And so that when you can start reframing it into, this person's doing the best they can, I think even with, I think that's one of the things you and your ex-wife did well on the co-parenting side is you both said, I really hate the parenting decision this other person's making, but at the end of the day, I know that they love our kids and that's their first priority. And even though I don't agree with that's the best way to handle it, I can appreciate that they're doing it out of love for the kids. But, I think it's real easy to sit and, blame the other person and not take responsibility for your part in it. And really, what you always want to do is try to take responsibility for your part and disengage from the conflict, because that's ultimately what's going to emotionally unlink you from the, because engaging in conflict is really a continuation of the relationship. It's just a negative continuation. It doesn't set you free. Yeah. You're not free from that person if you're engaged in conflict.
That's true.
That's still dictating your life.
That is a wonderful insight.
Yeah. It's amazing to me because people sometimes enter into second marriages, I think, thinking it's going to be easier than the first marriage because, you're not having to co-parent in certain ways and all this kind of things.
You're not dealing with her.
Yeah, because they didn't have to do in the first marriage. But the second marriage is so much harder. I always say, you and I have a better relationship, but we've had so many more headwinds than I had in my first marriage.
We had a lot of headwinds.
Yeah.
But you got to build something, you got to leave a legacy. That's what, God doesn't want you to sit and cower in your room and gnaw at the ends of the old schemes. He wants you to burst forth like a flower and create something new.
Right. So the best way to do that is to avoid sitting around feeling resentment, being angry, constantly ruminating about your ex and all those kinds of things is by building your own life. Whether that's building a new family like it was for me, that was a top priority, and creating some stability for my kids moving forward. That was really important. For some people, it's career. For some people after divorce, it's just the ability to do things for yourself that you haven't gotten to do in so long because you were so up to your eyeballs in family and, the day to day. And so sometimes people go back to school, they do all kinds of different things. But if you're engaged in conflict with your ex and that's the primary driver every day, you're not going to be able to accomplish any kind of positive goals like that.
All right.
Yeah, very true. So, all right. Well, we hope that has been helpful. As always, we're always trying to give you guys insight of our experiences and the different things that we go through. All right. If you are watching us on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you know when new content comes out each week. And you can be aware of those videos releasing. If you are listening to us on the podcast, please rate and review us in iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you're listening to us. That helps other people find us and find this content. And as always, we thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.